रोहित जी, डॉक्टर अंकुश शर्मा और डॉक्टर इवांगिनी को होस्ट बनाइए प्लीज।
श्रीवास्तव साहब, नमस्कार। मैडम ने ज्वाइन कर लिया क्या?
नमस्कार सर, अभी नहीं किया ज्वाइन, मैं भी वही चेक कर रही थी।
अच्छा, ठीक है। एक मैसेज कर दीजिएगा आप प्लीज।
जी।
रोहित जी, मैडम ने ज्वाइन कर लिया, आप उनको को होस्ट बनाइए। मैडम ने अपने नाम से ही ज्वाइन किया है, डॉक्टर रेनू स्वरूप।
गुड इवनिंग मैम।
गुड इवनिंग प्रगति।
मैडम नमस्कार।
नमस्कार नमस्कार।
Ma'am, we shall start in 5 minutes. Like participants are joining.
You want me to test my sharing of the screen in case
Yes,
there is
ma'am.
a problem?
Yes.
Do I have the permission to share?
यस
Yes,
मैडम,
ma'am.
आप कर सकते हैं, प्लीज।
Yes, ma'am.
Is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
यस
So
मैडम, दिख रहा है।
Yes, ma'am.
I'll stop sharing now. जब आप होगा तो तब मैं उस टाइम पे कर दूंगी।
मैम 6:05 पे स्टार्ट करते हैं मैम।
As convenient to you.
थैंक यू। शर्मा सर स्टार्ट करें।
जी डॉक्टर साहब।
सईदा प्लीज स्टार्ट द सेशन।
Okay. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Agriculture Valley Research Foundation and AgriMeet Foundation Bharat, I extend a very warm welcome to all the distinguished participants, researchers, academicians, students, policymakers, and science enthusiasts joining us from different parts of India and around the world. I am Saida Nahal Zahra, Technical Secretary to the founder of AWARF, and we are delighted to have you with us for today's special session under the Ankuran and Krishi Navyug initiative, a platform committed to promoting innovation, scientific excellence, and sustainable development for the future of agricultural society. Today, we have the privilege of interacting with one of India's most accomplished science leaders, whose contributions have significantly shaped the country's biotechnology, innovation, and research ecosystem. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker, Dr. Renu Swaroop, former Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. Dr. Swaroop has devoted more than 3 decades of distinguished service to the Department of Biotechnology, where she played a pivotal role in formulating India's biotechnology vision and strategy and spearheaded several landmark national programs, including the National Biopharma Mission, Genome India Program, antimicrobial resistant initiatives, and the second generation bioethanol programs. A PhD in genetics and plant breeding, with postdoctoral research experience from well-known John Eanes Centre in the UK, Dr. Swaroop has been instrumental in advancing agricultural biotechnology in India. She played a key role in establishing the country's first tissue culture pilot plant and contributed significantly to both scientific infrastructure and human resource capacity in the biotechnology sector. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Swaroop provided exceptional leadership in India's vaccine, diagnostics, and genome sequencing missions, helping to strengthen the nation's scientific response during such a critical period. As the founding managing director and later chairperson of BIRAC, she fostered an innovative ecosystem that has supported more than 10,000 startups and over 100 incubators across the country, creating new opportunities for scientific entrepreneurship and technology-driven solutions. Her remarkable contributions have earned her numerous prestigious honors, including the Yashwantrao Chavan Award for the Public Policy, the FABA Biotech Excellence Award, the Biospectrum Person of the Year Award, among many others. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly privileged to have with us a visionary scientist, policy leader, and champion of innovation whose work continues to influence biotechnology and scientific development both nationally and internationally. Now, without any further ado, please join me in extending a warm virtual welcome to Dr. Renu Swaroop to deliver her lecture on building leadership for transformative agricultural progress. Ma'am, it is an absolute honor to have you with us today. Now, if you would, the virtual stage is all yours now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saida, for this wonderful introduction. So eloquently, you have spoken. Thank you so much. And thank you, Pragati, for having me with you in this program, this initiative. Before I start my talk, would you like me to speak only in English, or you want me to speak in a combination of English and Hindi?
Ma'am, English, Hindi and English.
Okay. So I think what you have done by creating this platform is wonderful. आपने सब लोगों को अलग-अलग स्टूडेंट्स, रिसर्चर्स, जो मैं समझी हूँ आपसे बात करके, रिसर्चर्स, स्टूडेंट्स, सबको इकट्ठा किया है. You've given them a platform for understanding what it is to become leaders in agriculture. और ये प्लेटफॉर्म आपने बहुत अच्छा शुरू किया है, और जो मेरी आपसे बात हुई आपने KVKs के साथ, and this training program जो आपने शुरू किया है, so my compliments to you. I'm very pleased that you have so many participants, and as you said, you mentioned to me that many of them are students, और students जो हैं वो हमारे future leaders हैं. तो आज जो मैं आपसे बात करूंगी in the next about 40 minutes or so, I will just like to let you know what it is in terms of building that leadership. शुरू करने से पहले मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि स्पेशली आप लोग स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, जब हम लीडरशिप की बात करते हैं ना, तो आप लोग सब स्टूडेंट्स में ये एक माइंड में आता होगा कि लीडर्स वो हैं जो हमसे बहुत सीनियर हैं. जैसे साइदा ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया, शी इंट्रोड्यूस्ड मी एज वन ऑफ द लीडर्स इन साइंटिफिक पॉलिसी रिसर्च एंड टेकिंग द होल बायोटेक सेक्टर फॉरवर्ड्स. पर आपको मैं एक चीज बताऊं, आप जिस लेवल पे भी हैं, आप एक लीडर बन सकते हैं. लीडर इज समथिंग दैट इज नॉट अ सब्जेक्ट दैट इज टॉट. Leadership is having that vision and having that conviction कि मैं इस पर्टिकुलर जो भी आपका मिशन है, अब आज हम बात कर रहे हैं ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग एग्रीकल्चर की, तो इसमें आप लोग सब ने एग्रीकल्चर को एक सब्जेक्ट, एक पैशन की तरह से इसको लिया होगा, तभी आप इस लेक्चर को भी सुन रहे हैं, तभी आप इस ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम में हैं. तो डोंट लुक टुवर्ड समबडी एल्स जो आके, ठीक है, यस यू हैव टू लुक एट अदर्स हु आर योर रोल मॉडल्स, यू लुक एट सीनियर्स हु यू पिक अप, हाउ डिड दे टेक देयर जर्नी अहेड, बट आप उस जर्नी के ऊपर अभी चल पड़े हैं. एंड व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट इज कि आप अपनी दिशा कैसे बनाएं, आप अपना लक्ष्य क्या रखें, आप उस लक्ष्य को कैसे अचीव करें, और उससे आप कैसे एक डिफरेंस बना सकते हैं. सो ईच ऑफ यू is a role model for yourself, role model for many others. And each of you, remember, is playing a very important role to be a champion for change. और वो जो champion for change है, वो आपके अंदर है. And maybe that is why through this platform, Pragati and her team are arranging talks and lectures from different people through diverse portfolios, diverse experience fields, so that they can share with you. जब आप इतना कुछ सुनेंगे तो आप खुद उसमें से वो निकालेंगे जो आपको सही लगता है, जो आपके मन से it gives you that conviction कि हाँ, ये है वो path जिसको मैं आगे ले जाऊंगा या ले जाऊंगी. तो I think that's the whole purpose. तो जो मैं आज आपके साथ message share कर रही हूँ, they're going to be diverse messages, but the crux of the whole thing is how you have to play a very important role in moving forward. So I have slides in which it will be easier to keep you people engrossed. Otherwise, for 40 minutes, आप सिर्फ मुझे सुनेंगे तो शायद आपको इतना engrossing नहीं लगेगा. So I have certain slides जिससे मैं आपको share करूंगी जो मेरी thoughts हैं. And let us go through these slides, and then I'll take you through this presentation. So is it visible, Pragati? Slides are visible?
Yes, ma'am. The slides are visible.
यस मैडम, बहुत अच्छे से दिख रहा है.
चलिए, तो यही है मेरा topic, which I mentioned to you that today the message I'm going to give you all is how do you build leadership for transformative agricultural progress? Because today we are looking at agricultural progress. And agricultural progress is the topic of the discussion today. And this is really what we are going to take forward. Now we are talking about agriculture. जब हम agriculture की बात करते हैं, जो first फेस हमारे सामने आता है इंडिया में एज आवर लीडर, एज आवर चैंपियन, इज भारत रत्न प्रोफेसर एम एस स्वामीनाथन, द फादर ऑफ ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन. ही heralded the first transformative agricultural progress in the country today. And here you see him with Aman Bolog, and you see the change that he brought into the system. And all of you would be students who have studied about the green revolution, या आप पढ़ रहे होंगे या आप उसको practice कर रहे होंगे, some of those new technologies, etc. जब हमारा बंगाल famine आया था और उसके बाद India was importing all the food grains for our population, उस टाइम पे ये सोचा गया था कि हमारे पास इतनी शक्ति नहीं है कि हम अपनी पूरी पॉपुलेशन को फीड कर सकें. एंड एज यू नो, it's important to be self-sufficient in your food production. That's the first and foremost aspect. For that, it was important that we become self-sufficient. It was important that we bring in improved agricultural productivity, agricultural production. And that's when Professor Swaminathan, with all his wisdom, with all his, and he was a young researcher at that time, not, I mean, he completed 100, just last year we didn't had his centenary. So this would be about, say, he must have been in his mid-40s or late 40s by that time. But he took this on himself with scientists to say, how do we do that? And today you all know that where we stand in agricultural production. So it's not just being self-sufficient in our food grains, but also being a net exporter of food grains is where we stand. Today, after discussing with Pragati, this is really the stakeholders that I'm addressing: the researchers, the students, the scientists, the entrepreneurs, the startups. Many of you would be farmers or growers. Then there's a whole issue of gender and diversity where women play a very important role. Then there are messages for policymakers, ecosystem enablers, because today where you are as undergraduate and postgraduate students, maybe it's not very clear to you which of this path you are going to take forward. But eventually, if you're in any of these, you're going to play a major role in bringing in that transformative change. And that is going to be through the determination that you take forward. Mahatma Gandhi had said, a man is but the product of what he thinks he becomes. So what you have to do is to give wings to your ideas. And that's really where I'm trying to come. It's that you have to work towards saying, okay, this is my goal that I'm trying to achieve. These are the ideas I have. And through your work, you have to give wings to those ideas. And how do you give wings? Because unless you give wings to your ideas, you're not going to fly. So you have to have your thoughts, which are going to say, okay, this is what I'm going to become. And that's what Mahatma Gandhi said. A man is but the product of his thoughts. What you think, you become. So you always have to think positive. You always have to be far-sighted. You always have to, and let me tell you, as I'll move into this presentation, the message I'm giving you is even sky cannot be a limit for you. It's an infinite limit for you. Because unless you do that out-of-box thinking, unless you say, okay, that's where I'm going to reach, it will be, you'll be putting your own blockades on your path as you move on. So let's understand what is leadership. As I said, each of you is already on that path of becoming a leader. The fact that you're attending leadership talks, the fact that you're trying to imbibe those important messages, this becomes a very important and critical aspect of the journey on which you move. So your question is then, what is leadership? Who's a leader? Why do we need strong leaders in organizations? Why do we need strong leaders as teams to meet our goals? Just look back when you were in school, all of you played matches. Whether it was football, whether it was cricket, whether it was basketball, or whatever. Or you did teamwork in your practicals, whether it was your physics practicals or you were building a project as a part of a project team for your school program. There's always a team that comes forward. When that team comes forward, if you just sit back and think, while each of you plays a very important role, one of that team member assumes the role of a leader, even very unconsciously, subconsciously. And that is the leader who provides that direction, provides that confidence, provides that support to the team, that this is the vision we are trying to fulfill. So this starts very young. And this leadership trait, this leadership quality, the need for having an effective leader is important as we move forward. So if we do not have good leadership, whether it's in our sports teams, whether cricket, football, hockey, anything, or we don't have good leaders in our projects that we take forward or within our organizations, we cannot make that difference that we're wanting to make. So if you have to be a good leader, which I'm sure each of you would like to be, and you should start demonstrating your leadership skills in whatever you do, whether in school, college, your research, wherever, is you must have the ability to take up challenges, and you must know the ABCD of what it is of being a good leader. So what is that ABCD? You were taught ABCD when you sort of learned your alphabets, with an A for an apple and B for a bat and see it be. So that's how we learned it. But today it's important for you to say, what does A stand for? Have a challenging ambition. It's important right from now to say, okay, this is going to be my ambition. And once you set up that ambition for yourself, you have to have belief in yourself. And that's the second B that you're talking about. So once you have belief in yourself and say, yes, this is my ambition, and this is what I will want to do, I should be able to take it up. You should then have the commitment to deliver. One is having an ambition, one is having a belief, but unless and until you don't have a commitment to deliver, तो वो बीच में रह जाता है आपका. देखिए, ambition होना, एक टारगेट होना जरूरी है, बट जब तक आप उसको डिलीवर नहीं करेंगे तो वो सक्सीड नहीं होगा. और that is where the D comes in. Commitment to deliver, but more importantly, a determination to succeed. और ये इसलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, डिटर्मिनेशन टू सक्सीड, क्योंकि वो जो पाथ है बिलीफ से डिलीवरी में और सक्सेस में, उसमें बहुत हर्डल्स आती है रास्ते में, बहुत हर्डल्स आती है. तो जब तक आपके अंदर वो कमिटमेंट नहीं है दैट आई एम गोइंग टू डिलीवर and a determination that I'm going to succeed, because then if you have a determination to succeed, you can overcome all the obstacles that come your way. All of you would have run an obstacle race when you were in school. All of you would have done that. We all did it as youngsters. So जब obstacle race आती है, initially obstacles वो लगाते हैं ना, easy obstacles लगाते हैं, और फिर वो और hard होते जाते हैं. पर हम क्या करते हैं? हम उस कमिटमेंट से हैं कि हमें सक्सीड करना है, तो आप जितना डिफिकल्ट ऑब्स्टिकल है आप उसको ओवरकम करते जाते हैं. और कई दफा एक ऑब्स्टिकल से आप पीछे रह जाते हैं. आप क्या करते हैं? आप रेस तो नहीं रोक देते हैं, आप देखते हैं कि मुझे और आगे जाना है, and you overcome it again. That is the determination that you have to succeed as you move on. Now, all of you are in that technical field because you're all looking at agriculture. So either you're part of that technology development, or you're, as I said, people who are going to be benefited as being farmers or growers, or you're going to be those who are becoming startups, or those who are going to be policymakers and enablers. So Steve Jobs, and I think all of you know who Steve Jobs is, had said very clearly, and somebody who's known as the guru of innovation, because that's what our whole IT revolutions began with. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. So if you have to be a leader, you have to innovate. And I think that's where the starting point is of any technical journey that we take on. Innovation has to be key for us to be leaders within our own aspect and within the global aspect that we look at as we take forward. So the next question you would say, then what is innovation? अब हम सब कहते हैं India has moved so much up in the innovation index. आप जो project करते हैं, make it innovative, do something innovative. Many times young students get confused between what an invention is and what an innovation is. Remember one thing, innovation is really responding to change in a creative way. So how are you changing something in a very innovative manner? When you look at young children and they've designed something beautifully, you say how innovatively they've done it. So they brought in something new. They brought a new factor into it. It's all about generating new ideas. And if our youth of our today is full of new ideas, ये जो आपकी क्यूरियोसिटी है, ये जो आपके अंदर एक चाह है कि मुझे इसको कुछ नया करना है, that is what is important. That is what will take into new research. But remember one thing, it's not only new research, or it's not only a new innovative product that you're bringing on. It's also how you do that. That whole process of doing it is innovative. The whole way in which when you're setting up, say, in your own, supposing many of you could be potential farmers or come from farmers, families and backgrounds, there would be different ways in which you do your farmings. But you suddenly look at farmers who come up with very innovative manners, either in the way they use their machinery, या वो जैसे अपनी plantations करते हैं, या जैसे अपने farm का design लगाते हैं, जिसमें वो अपनी boundaries में क्या लगाते हैं, what Many of them are established practices, but many of them come in through their own experience, through their own innovative way of thinking. And that is really what is innovation as we move on. So now coming straight to the agriculture aspect of it. Let's look at what the technology landscape over all these years has happened. And I don't go very much back, क्योंकि अगर हम बिल्कुल ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन से जाएंगे तो बहुत सारी टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं जो आई हैं. मैं उतना पीछे नहीं जाना चाहती हूँ. I just want to go in over the last 3 to 4 decades or maybe 4 decades. When plant tissue culture was one of the main new technologies that we took on, which brought in the technologies of clonal propagation. Mutations होती थी उससे पहले, हमारी अपनी जेनेटिक्स के साथ हमने बहुत कुछ किया है. ब्रीडर्स ने तो सालों से ही न्यू वेराइटीज ब्रीड की हैं. हमारी पूरी ड्वार्फ वेराइटीज जो बनी थी, हमारे इंटीग्रेटेड न्यूट्रिएंट मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम्स जो आए थे क्रॉप्स के लिए. बट जैसे हम टेक्नोलॉजी रेवोल्यूशन पे आए, प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर केम इन, फिर हमारा रिसर्च ट्रांसजेनिक्स पे शुरू हुआ. उसमें कुछ रेगुलेटरी हर्डल्स थे, कुछ चीजें निकली, कुछ नहीं निकली. मॉलिक्यूलर ब्रीडिंग, जिसमें हमने फिर पूरा फिनोटाइपिंग जीनोटाइपिंग करके मार्कर असिस्टेड सिलेक्शंस निकाले. Omics became a very, very important aspect of it. The whole area of metabolomics, proteomics. और इसको हमने बहुत, ये सारी वो टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं जिनको हमने बहुत यूज किया है, इनोवेटिव वेज से यूज किया है. सो इन्वेंशंस ऑन वन साइड, साइंटिस्ट ने बहुत माइंड लगा के उनको इन्वेंट किया, उनको अप्लाई किया, दे ब्रॉट देम टू द स्टेज. पर हमने इनोवेटिवली उसको अपने डिफरेंट सिस्टम्स में यूज किया, अडॉप्ट किया. अडॉप्शन एंड अडेप्शन ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. और फिर आया जीनोम एडिटिंग. जीनोम एडिटिंग में भी हमारे कुछ रेगुलेटरी इश्यूज थे, उसको कैसे. सो देयर इज अ होल प्रोसेस दैट यू हैव टू लुक एट. बट टुडे वी आर ऑल टॉकिंग अबाउट AI, we are all talking about precision agriculture, we are talking about quantum biology. These are all the new words. और जब तक आप लोग अपना जर्नी आगे जैसे जैसे बढ़ेंगे, new technologies, new tools, new instruments will keep coming. याद रखिएगा, it's not always important that they'll come from somewhere else. You could be one of those who has actually brought in that revolution or that new change. After all our own Indian research laboratories produce wonderful scientists. Sir C.V. Raman was our own. Professor M.S. Swaminathan was our own. Homi Bhabha was our own. Satish Dhawan was our own. I mean, you can have whole, I can give you a whole 1 hour lecture on the science legacy of our country. तो वो भी तो सब हमारी country, the sons of our soil. So this is where you will have to see how you can make that difference. आज हमारे पास बहुत options हैं where you can start getting into newer ways of moving. This is the technology landscape which today is being talked about to support food security. Our millennium, our SDG goal was how do we achieve zero hunger by 2030? You have to play that important role. You're already in 26. Do you think we can achieve that? But at least if not, हमारा एक टारगेट है हमारे पास of a विकसित भारत by 2047. पर अगर हम उस पाथ पे आज चलेंगे, you are the ones who will deliver at that time, because you are that generation who has to now take this forward. Whether we are talking about fast trait integration into improved varieties, creating varieties with improved traits through genome editing, looking at soil health management, looking at addressing the climate change issues. Today, we keep talking about how climate change is impacting agriculture, impacting women, children, health, nutrition. And new technologies like AI, big data, blockchain, precision agriculture, these are all which are tools which are now available for us. How do we apply them innovatively? How do you reduce post-harvest losses? Because that's where the markets are, that's where the economy is all dependent upon. So what is that global crop monitoring that you do? I mean, I've only put 6 blocks here. These could be 12 because there are so many areas that we would look into it. Biotechnology itself, if you see, which has played such a major role in transforming agriculture, from double helix to the omics revolution. So when we had the double helix, Watson and Crick model, at that point of time, We just understood the structure of the DNA. We didn't realize how it's going to play such an important role in the genomics. And as I said, the whole omics revolution, which today has played a very, very important role in agriculture. From transgenics to molecular breeding, BT cotton took off because there was very clear regulation, there was a public perception, but we could not scale that up. There was no public acceptance of that. We did not have sufficient data. But if you look at your molecular breeding, today we have acres and acres and farmers who have taken this up, whether it's rice, wheat, maize. There have been no regulatory barriers and people have taken it forward. So I think what is important is you have to understand technology, but technology has its own related aspects which you have to work upon. Genome editing, I just spoke to you. It was in the early 20th centuries when we were talking about physical, chemical, and biological mutations, and late 20th century transgenics. Early 21st century, we spoke about gene editing. But it was only in 2020 that the Nobel Prize was given to the scientists for the discovery of CRISPR. But these are important tools. The government brought out guidelines, and it was in 25 that ICR released 2 new gene-edited varieties. So that's where, so these are all components about how we are progressing in terms of leadership, जिससे हम नई अपनी जो सोच है, जो हमारी नई दिशा जिसको हम देख रहे हैं, उसको हम कैसे अचीव कर पाते हैं. आज हमारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है, चाहे वो जीनोमिक्स एंड जीनोटाइपिंग फैसिलिटी हो या स्पीड ब्रीडिंग फैसिलिटीज हो, जो प्रिसीजन एग्रीकल्चर है वो कैसे हमारे फार्म सिस्टम्स में, हमारे एफपीओज में, हमारे रूरल एरियाज में, और जब आप केवीके में जाएंगे उनसे बात करेंगे, आप देखेंगे एडवाइजरी सर्विसेज जो मिल रही हैं थ्रू दिस होल नॉलेज डेटाबेस, थ्रू आवर कंप्यूटर साइंस डेटा, थ्रू आवर डेटा साइंसेज, रिमोट साइंसेज, दैट्स ऑल हेल्पिंग फार्मर्स टू सी हाउ दे कैन गेट बेटर and quicker results as they move on. Government ने बहुत मेहनत करी है that we create a very enabling, robust innovation ecosystem. So let me tell you one thing. You people are all today sitting at a time where there is a lot that's available for you to pick up and take forward. You're not starting from level 0. There has already been a lot of achievement that has happened and we move on. Many a times we people at my generation feel, I wish I was born today. I wish I had all these facilities when I started my research or when I did my PhD. जब हमने PhD करी थी, it was totally in the late 80s when I did my PhD, it was a totally different scenario from what you're doing today. हम तो लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के रेफरेंस कार्ड्स बनाते थे अपने कि आज तो आपके पास कंप्यूटर्स भी छोड़ दीजिए, आपके तो मोबाइल्स हैं जिसके बेसिस पे सब मिल जाता है. बट वी हैव क्रिएटेड दैट इकोसिस्टम, वी हैव नर्चर्ड ह्यूमन कैपिटल. आज हमारी कंट्री में बहुत अच्छा टैलेंट है और आप उसके y'all are all there sitting there as that. We've invested in infrastructure. We've got a very good intellectual property right understanding on what we do. We've got a very good system in which we could look at the regulatory aspects. New technology transfers kaise hoti, in licensing, out licensing. What are the markets? How do we have rules and regulations and legal frameworks which can help that? So this ecosystem exists. What is important is कि आप अब इस path पे आगे चलें so that you know what it is that you would want to take forward. When research happens in that ecosystem और आप student researchers बनते हैं, it's also very important to say कि ये research हमारे lab से field में कैसे जाएगी. For that, there is a whole innovation research ecosystem which we help. And we've made systems in which we connect the academia with the startup and the industry. So today, when you look at your journey, you can actually put yourself in any of these boxes. Whether you want to go to academia, whether you want to be a startup, or you want to join a big industry, or maybe subsequently become a big industrialist yourself. But what is important is, and you'll see that these boxes that I've put, these oval structures, they don't sit separate. One overlaps the other. The academia overlaps with the startups overlap with the industry. In fact, the best way to actually show this is in a cluster form where they're all connected. So from discovery to market commercialization, the pathway, it seems simple because you have to move from discovery to discovery-led innovation to validation of POC, and then taking it to scale up and manufacture to market. But each step is very important. And if it's like a relay race that you're playing. When you go for a relay race, when one has to hand over the baton to the other, at any point of time, if the baton drops, क्या होता है? आप पीछे छूट जाते हैं और आप उस रेस में पीछे रह जाते हैं क्योंकि आपका बैटन किसी एक बंदे से गिर गया है। तो जब तक आप उठेंगे, उस बैटन को उठाएंगे और आगे भागेंगे, यू गेट डिलेड। तो वो ये बैटन, इट्स लाइक अ रिले रेस। Very quickly, you have to take your research through translation. Otherwise, we miss the bus. India is today recognized globally as a global leader. We are already making our path progress in that way. हमें बहुत तेजी से जाना है। अभी we don't have the luxury of time कि हम आराम से करेंगे, चलिए आज इसको पढ़ते हैं, समझते हैं, कल इसको करेंगे। No, we have to have very focused goals. And you must realize one thing, that many of these things that we are wanting to do tomorrow should have actually been done yesterday. So we need to move forward in this and say, how are we going to take this ahead? Many of you would want to become startups. And yes, it's very correct. We talk about India being one of the, having a large number of startups and third largest startup country. Many of you who follow the startup ecosystem on social media would know that India just had that Bharat Innovates in France, which our Prime Minister inaugurated. 120 deep tech startups were taken and showcased in that. It's a challenging journey. But like I said right in the beginning, आपका एक determination होना चाहिए, passion होना चाहिए, dedication होना चाहिए। अगर आप करें तो ये जर्नी सक्सीड कर जाती। हमारे बायोटेक स्टार्टअप्स में ही जब हमने 2012 में शुरू किया था ये जर्नी, तो हमारे मुश्किल से 50 स्टार्टअप्स थे। And now we have over 10,000 startups. इसी ecosystem से आए हैं। I still remember talking to young students like you in research institutes and laboratories, understanding from them कि उनकी क्या requirements हैं, उन requirements के basis पे हमने policies बनाई और वो policies then got implemented and we saw the impact and how happy we feel today. ये जो 120 startups गए हैं Nice, France में, more than 50% of them are those which were supported by our BIRAC, by our biotech ecosystem. So our ecosystem is future ready. When she introduced me, she spoke about COVID. आज जो सब आप लोगों को, सभी को कोविड का वैक्सीन लगा है, वो कोविड वैक्सीन इतनी इजीली नहीं लग पाता। वो हमारे लीडर्स इंडस्ट्री के, हमारे रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट्स के थे जिन्होंने मेहनत करके उसको किया। Why? Because they used this ecosystem, they used that dedication, and they were leaders in their field. So now remember one thing, while I say these are important 5 C's for startups, this is really 5 C's for anybody who wants to take up their research forward. And that is, have clarity of your idea. Unless and until you have clarity of your idea, it's not going to be easy for you to take forward. Again, going back to belief in yourself, I'm reiterating that have confidence on your ability. It's only your ability. Nobody can sort of push you into it. You have to say, I'm going to deliver. The courage to take risks, the conviction to accomplish, and again, that same sentence comes, the commitment to deliver. So if you have these 5 C's clearly in your mind, you're already on the path of leadership and you become a leader to bring in that change of what is being required. Albert Einstein had said, and this is my message always to young students when I speak, take the risk. Do not be scared of failures. After all, you're all, in schools, we did all of undergraduate, postgraduate, research scholars, others. When we set up experiments, we never succeed in the first time that we are setting it up. But what happens? We understand from it and go back and redesign it. So that's what Albert Einstein said. A person who never made a mistake has never tried anything new. If you've not tried anything new, you'll not make a mistake. अगर आप रोड पे ड्राइविंग करने जाएंगे ही नहीं तो आप गलती ही नहीं करेंगे, आप बैठे रहेंगे, आपने तो कार की स्टीयरिंग को ही नहीं पकड़ा, तो आप कैसे उस कार ड्राइविंग में गलती कर सकते हैं? सो दैट्स इंपॉर्टेंट. टेक द रिस्क, टेक द प्लंज, you'll make mistakes, never mind, you'll learn and you'll move forward. एग्रीकल्चर के लिए हमारा एक बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग इकोसिस्टम हमने स्टार्ट, एंड दिस इज माय मैसेज फॉर स्टार्टअप्स. हमने पूरे एग्री बायोनेस्ट के इंक्यूबेटर्स का पूरा एक नेटवर्क बनाया है कंट्री में. देयर आर मेनी मोर व्हिच आर कमिंग इन, बट द IRI one that we have is of course our key principal one, and then many others which have got connected with it. These are helping our young startups to get connected to research institutes and then to be able to deliver as we move forward. I'll come to the next aspect of my talk, and that is how important it is to look at gender. So what happens is when we connect any technology or any ecosystem, we want the whole ecosystem to be a beneficiary. And that inclusivity that comes in. It's important that there is gender parity. We talk about gender diversity, gender parity, because only then can you make that economic progress to take it forward. And we all know that science and technology this is clearly our engine of social and economic change. So if you're looking at any engine for social and economic change, how can you leave out a very large part of our population, nearly 50% of our population, women? And women play a very important role because as mothers, as social educators, transmitter of ideas, you know what it is, हम किसी भी चीज की बात करते हैं, our main learning comes from our mothers. अगर हम अपनी ट्रेडिशनल फूड की बात करें, वी ऑलवेज से कि ये मेरी ग्रैंडमदर की रेसिपी है जिसको हम लेके जा रहे हैं. सो वी आर पासिंग इट ऑन थ्रू ट्रेडिशंस, but we do it in a way in which you don't recognize the role that women are playing to take it forward. So many of you are now into this. So all the women who are involved in this whole journey, you have to understand that you play a very important role in becoming those champions of change to ensure that women get grounded in all these new technologies. Whatever technology advancement we do, whatever value chains we create, we have to bring in gender equality. And here, my message is not only for women who are already into agriculture technology development, but all of you who are into agriculture technology development. Remember, in your beneficiaries in the agriculture field, 50% will be women. उनको आप माइंड में रखिए एंड देन डू योर टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलपमेंट. आप KVKs के साथ काम करते हैं, आपका एक्सटेंशन एक्टिविटीज शुड बी सच कि जो आप टूल्स बनाते हैं आर दे विमेन फ्रेंडली, आप जो टेक्नोलॉजीज बनाते हैं आर दे इजिली अडेप्टेड बाय विमेन. How do you empower women at the ground level, at the grassroots level, at the farmer level? By giving them access to technologies. Because unless we empower them technologically, only then can we enable that there is equitable access. Because without empowering them, if you're only going to keep imposing new technologies and saying it will be accepted by them, it doesn't work. When you come to our women who are in the technology development area or into our academic area or to our research area, there is a major gap. For many of you, you will see that undergraduate, postgraduate, we'll have, in fact, sometimes when I go for convocations, I see nearly 60% women, 70%, and many a times 60% of the toppers are all women, 70% of the toppers, or sometimes even more than that. Then as we move on, we see them sort of numbers dwindling and moving on. I think what is important is that for those of you who are in this talk today, who are either playing a role or are going to be into policy making, it's important that we keep that whole pipeline fueled very well. And I'm sure through this training program, a lot of women will be coming forward to see how you can involve them. In India, we're doing pretty well. If you look at the top in our academies as women of presidents of academies, we've had women participating. But I think what I'm just trying to give as a message is, if you have to be an effective leader, if you have to move on that path, equal participation of gender parity is important. And we have to make sure that we build a strong base of women in science and agriculture. And this is for your foundation, Pragati. You all have started this very important task of creating this sort of a training program. It's important that we give this education to our women, focus on remote districts, go to tier 2, tier 3 cities. There's a lot of talent that is there. And I think it's important that we create this vibrant ecosystem, and you are a part of this ecosystem. You're playing a very important role in this ecosystem of how do you give them those skill developments and build their leadership skills. What we are doing today is one of those, trying to see how they become effective leaders as they move on. And of course, the third very important component is financially and socially. How do we involve them? How do we look at gender participation? How do we have, and each of you plays a very important role. मैंने शुरू इसी से किया था कि आप किसी भी लेवल पे हो, आप चैंपियंस ऑफ चेंज बन सकते हैं, आप लीडर्स बन सकते हैं, आप अपने जो आपके सोशल कल्चरल एरिया है उसमें आप चेंज कर सकते हैं. हाउ डू यू ब्रिंग इन द changes in the socio-economical, cultural, behavioral aspects? How do you encourage? Because वहीं पे है कई दफा जो हम इनको एक एक ऑब्स्टिकल दे देते हैं जिससे हम उनको आगे नहीं बढ़ने देते हैं. अगर आप वो ऑब्स्टिकल्स हटाने की कोशिश करें, you will see that we'll be able to move forward in a big way. And for all the young women who are attending this talk today, this slide is mainly for you. You have a lot of strengths. You know, when I speak only to women for some of the women leadership development programs, I many times ask the women that, have you identified your own strengths? No. You haven't even looked inside to see what your strengths are. You've got a lot of strengths. I've only put 5 over here. And you have those inherent strengths in you. But what happens is you don't look inwards. You don't identify yourself with your own strength. I think what is important is for any good leadership development, identify your weaknesses, convert them, and see how you work on them so that you improve them and get better. Identify your strengths and optimally utilize those to see how you can move forward in your journey. And I think these strengths that you have are very, very strong. They are the ones which are already the making of a leader, and you should try and see how you could move them. So my message to all the young women who are attending this talk today is, you must identify and see what your strengths are. Government system में हमने बहुत सारे efforts किए हैं where we can help young women to move forward. In fact, many of you who are moving in your journey, try to go through these opportunities that are there. हमने special science education program start किए हैं young girls के लिए, विज्ञान ज्योति, विज्ञान प्रतिभा, Department of Science and Technology का, DST और DBT के किरण और BioCare programs हैं जिसमें grants मिल जाती हैं women को for re-entry as they move back. We give them alternate career paths, IP management, science communication. ये हमने सब किया है. हमने women entrepreneurship through the DBT, BIRAC, DST, TDB, Atal Innovation Mission, different incubators जो आज हमारे government system के nearly 400-500 incubators हैं, DBT के 100 हैं, बाकी DST के हैं, Atal Innovation के हैं, Startup India के हैं, Defense वालों के हैं, एग्रीकल्चर के हैं. ये सब के साथ अगर हम देखें, बहुत एफर्ट किया है हमने इस इकोसिस्टम को बनाने में. You must make the best use of that ecosystem to see how it is. Unless you empower women technologically, you're not going to ensure access to them to be able to take these technologies forward. And my message to young women is, don't let being a woman hold you back from the leader that you're destined to be. This was Jamie Fresnel, who was a woman entrepreneur, and she gave this as a very strong message. So you're already destined to be a leader. But many a time the thought comes in your mind, you know, I'm a woman, तो मैं ये path नहीं ले सकती हूँ. I'm not going to be able to get access to credit. Investors don't invest in those companies which have got women founders. So I need to have a co-founder who's going to help me. No, you don't. You have that strength in you. Just Look at your own strength and see how you can move forward. So don't ever let being a woman hold you back. You're already destined to be a leader. Take that leadership forward. I'll conclude. I've already taken a lot of your time, and my message is my last slide brings a few messages for all of you. John F. Kennedy had said, learning never finishes. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. And you have to be open to that. You know, one thing, I enjoy my interactions that I have with young startups, young researchers, young students. Today is more of a talk session, so I don't know how Pragati has planned it. We may have some question answers or not, but I love doing these open house discussions with young students, and maybe sometime we could do that where I don't do all the talking, the students do the talking, the youngsters do the talking, because I have a vested interest in that. I learn a lot from all of you. Never ever think that just because I've reached this level of my career, every day I'm learning something new. Any new task I do, any new responsibility I take up, even post-retirement, it's always a learning for me. Because when you stop learning, you've stagnated. And you see how rivers flow. The rivers flow, and where do they go? They join oceans. But what happens to stagnated water? They stay within ponds. And then what happens? You're all agriculture students, उसमें algae grow हो जाती है, ठीक है, कुछ थोड़ा बहुत है, seaweed निकल आता है, but वो eventually it's of no use. The water becomes dirty and it's stagnated. So if you have to make a transformational change, you have to take on that leadership role, and you have to keep on and on continuously learning. I reiterate my message, which I said earlier: never see anything as a failure. Believe me, in my whole journey, from being a student to where I am, my father was a defense officer. He was in the army. और बहुत early life में मुझे उनसे एक message मिला था: nothing is impossible. आप एक determination से कुछ भी करना चाहेंगे, आप उसको करेंगे. आप एक hurdle आता है, कोई बात नहीं, ये तो एक सीढ़ी है जो आप चढ़े हैं. क्या होता है जब आप सीढ़ियां चढ़ रहे हैं, अगर किसी सीढ़ी में आप थोड़ा सा लड़खड़ाते हैं और पीछे जाते हैं, आप फिर वापस तो नहीं चढ़े जाते ना. आप सीखते हैं कि इसमें मेरा पैर गलत कैसे पड़ा, मैंने इस पैर को सीधा कैसे रखना है, और अब मैं इसको आगे करूंगा. एंड देन मे बी with more vigor you're moving up, because you've learned the trick of being able to climb up that ladder. But the most important message is think out of box. Never ever be resistant to change. You know, आप अपने लिए कंफर्ट जोन बना लेते हैं कि ये मेरा रिसर्च है, ये मेरा एरिया है, मैं इसके बियॉन्ड नहीं सोच सकता. Today you have the opportunity of interdisciplinary sciences research. You have an opportunity of looking at different areas where you want to work. So get out of that comfort zone. जो आपको difficult लगता है, आप उसको pick up करिए. Don't pick up the easy stuff. Easy stuff तो ऐसे हो जाएगा. जो डिफिकल्ट स्टफ है उसको ढूंढिए, वो उसके लिए एक रास्ता ढूंढिए कि मैं कैसे इसमें आगे बढ़ूंगा. एंड लास्ट message to all of you is the key mantra of success is hard work and more hard work. जितना आप hard work करेंगे उतना आप succeed करेंगे. And Dr. Abdul Kalam has been somebody I have always held in very high esteem. I've been very fortunate to interact with him very closely, and I always like to conclude with a message that he used to leave for young people, and that is what I have said right now also: to have courage to think differently, have courage to invent, go on that unexplored path, have the courage to discover the impossible and to conquer the problems and then succeed. You know, the thrill that you will get by succeeding at that point will bring in new passion and new ambition in you to be able to achieve more. So my good wishes to all of you. Thank you very much for hearing me so patiently. But I hope we will see new leaders coming up from you who will bring in that transformation which agriculture wants. Thank you very much. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मैडम. मैं कहूंगा कि यदि मैं इस लेक्चर की तारीफ करूं तो चंद्रमा को दीपक दिखाने जैसा होगा. आपने जिस तरीके से बहुत छोटे शब्दों में लीडरशिप स्किल्स, जो एक नेतृत्व क्षमता होती है, क्योंकि इसमें आपने ये भी ध्यान रखा है कि स्टूडेंट से हम फैकल्टी की तरफ जा रहे हैं. यहाँ मैडम स्टूडेंट भी हैं और लेवल 15 तक के लोग भी इस लेक्चर को ज्वाइन करें. 2 वाइस चांसलर्स भी हैं इसमें. तो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि इस तरीके से चीजों को आपने समझाया कि मुझे नहीं लगता कि इस डिस्कशन के बाद जो हम डाउट क्लियरिंग सेशन रखते हैं, एक प्रोटोकॉल है हमारा, लोगों के बीच में कोई भ्रम और संशय जैसी स्थिति बची होगी। फिर भी मैं, यदि कोई भी पार्टिसिपेंट्स, कोई फैकल्टी यदि कोई क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहता है इस पर्टिकुलर पीपीटी से लेके, मैडम का 30 से 32 साल का एक एक्सपर्टीज है, मेरी 30 साल की उम्र है और मैडम का 30 साल का अनुभव है, तो आप जो है मैडम से वन टू वन पूछ सकते हैं। और मैं बताना चाहूंगा कि मैडम का आशीर्वाद, जब परोदा साहब ने एक वोमेन कॉन्फ्रेंस कराई थी तो मैं मैडम का बॉडीगार्ड था, मैं मैडम को स्टेज तक लेके जाता था, स्टेज से नीचे लेके आता था, मैडम का बहुत आशीर्वाद मुझे मिला। और मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि मैडम, आपको पता होगी वो घटना याद आ गई होगी आपको शायद।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
तो तब से मैडम का आशीर्वाद अनवरत मिल ही रहा है हमें। तो मैं सभी पार्टिसिपेंट से कहना चाहूंगा कि यदि कोई डाउट है, कोई संशय है, तो आप वन टू वन भी बात कर सकते हैं, चैट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं, हमारी पर्सनल सेक्रेटरी उसको पढ़ के मैडम तक पहुंचाएंगी।
क्यूरियोसिटी तो सबके माइंड में होनी चाहिए और जरूर होनी चाहिए, सो दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट।
I think Mr. Ajay has some question to ask ma'am. Please go ahead.
Very good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, thank you so much for such an insightful and deeply inspiring lecture, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt. India has progressed from the green revolution to the biotechnological era. According to you, ma'am, what will be the next big revolution in agriculture, and how can today's youth contribute to making it successful?
अजय, जो रेवोल्यूशंस आती हैं वो आजकल जो नई टेक्नोलॉजी आ रही है, दे आर कमिंग विद सच अ स्पीड दैट इज इवन डिफिकल्ट टू प्रिडिक्ट मोर देन 5 years on. But as we stand today, the whole area of artificial intelligence and quantum biology, not really spoken about much in terms, when we talk about quantum missions, हम उसको बायोलॉजी से नहीं कनेक्ट करते हैं ज्यादा, बट क्वांटम बायोलॉजी की बहुत बहुत पोटेंशियल है। एंड जो यूथ है, जैसे मैंने कहा, द यूथ इज रियली आवर फ्यूचर, और उनकी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस ये हैं कि दे हैव टू बी अहेड ऑफ द कर्व। ये नहीं कि आप वेट करें कि ये टेक्नोलॉजी अब अपने पीक पे आएगी तो अब मैं इसको समझूंगा या समझूंगी और मैं अब इसको आगे ले जाऊंगी। यू हैव टू बी अहेड ऑफ द कर्व, you have to be so swift in your and agile in your ability कि आप उस टेक्नोलॉजी को वेरी क्विकली या तो डेवलपमेंट में जाएं या उसके टेक्नोलॉजी अडॉप्शन अडेप्शन में जाएं, बट वर्क अलोंग विद इट। सो आई थिंक वो यूथ की कंट्रीब्यूशन इतनी ज्यादा है। और दूसरी चीज जो आजकल हमारा यूथ है, विच यू हैव एन अपॉर्चुनिटी, जो पहले नहीं था, इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी एरियाज कैन गेट कनेक्टेड। फिजिक्स, जब हम एग्रीकल्चर की बात कर रहे हैं, अब आपको सिर्फ एग्रीकल्चर साइंटिस्ट नहीं चाहिए उसमें, आपको सिर्फ क्रॉप साइंटिस्ट नहीं चाहिए, या सॉइल केमिस्ट्री वाले नहीं चाहिए, या प्लांट ब्रीडर्स नहीं चाहिए। उसमें आपके फिजिक्स के लोग, इंजीनियरिंग के लोग, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के लोग, बायोइन्फॉर्मेटिक्स के लोग, सब इकट्ठे हो सकते हैं। और टुडे इज द वर्ल्ड ऑफ टीम्स, बिल्डिंग स्ट्रॉन्ग टीम्स। अगर हम मून पे पहुंचे तो हमारा चंद्रयान एक मिशन था, मून मिशन था, जिसपे हमने अचीव किया। हमने जो भी अचीव किया है विद लार्ज मिशंस, so I think it's important for you to come together, build these missions of transforming agriculture, but more importantly यूथ का कंट्रीब्यूशन ये भी है जो आप मैसेज ग्राउंड तक लेके जाए। क्योंकि कई दफा हम न्यू टेक्नोलॉजीज जो बना लेते हैं उसको पब्लिक एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं मिलता या पब्लिक अडॉप्शन नहीं मिलता। तो जो इस ग्रुप में से, या जो आपके यूथ है, एक पूरा ग्रुप ऑन साइंस कम्युनिकेटर्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, और वो साइंस कम्युनिकेशन, इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन ऑफ न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी में भी कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकता है।
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, all the students are praising you for your words, for like they are very inspiring. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your informative and inspiring session. And Nandita is saying it's a wonderful session, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And I'm very, very happy that you're in this training program. And as you move forward in this training program, I'll be very happy to receive from you updates as to what your students are doing and how they are taking it ahead. And all the best to you and all of you for whatever you're doing. As I said, They're all our future leaders, and we look forward to you becoming our champions of change.
भविष्य में यदि मैडम कोई व्यस्तता ना हो तो मैं उम्मीद करूंगा कि आगे आपका आशीर्वाद और ऐसे लेक्चर्स हमें मिलते रहेंगे।
मेरा आशीर्वाद तो हमेशा ही आप लोग सबके साथ है, और यस, बिल्कुल कोशिश करेंगे कि जब जब पॉसिबल हुआ आई विल कम एंड जॉइन यू पीपल एंड टॉक टू योर बैचेस एज दे कम। बट बहुत अच्छा, आई एम वेरी हैप्पी टू सी कि आप कैसे इसमें ये एक स्किल डेवलपमेंट ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम शुरू कर रहे हैं। ऑल द बेस्ट टू यू फॉर योर एक्टिविटीज।
थैंक यू
Thank
सो
you.
मच मैडम, आपके आशीर्वचन के लिए थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू वेरी मच, ऑल द बेस्ट, आई लीव नाउ, थैंक यू।
Thank you. I request all the participants to lead the session.